Every afternoon, the same man walked into the same restaurant, sat at the same table, and ate his lunch in complete silence. The staff knew his order. They knew his face, but they knew nothing about his life. Until one Tuesday, an elderly waiter placed his meal on the table and said something no one had ever said to him before. And he did not know that this ordinary Tuesday was about to become the day his life changed. Once upon a time, in a busy modern city full of rushing people, ringing phones, and the constant noise of people going somewhere important, there was a man named Omar. Omar was 42 years old, and by every measure that the world uses to measure a man, he was doing extraordinarily well. He ran his own company, he drove a beautiful car, he wore the kind of suit that made people step aside when he walked into a room. He had achieved everything he had told himself he would achieve at 22. And every single weekday, at exactly 1 o'clock, he walked into the same small restaurant 2 blocks from his office, sat down at the same corner table in the back, ordered the same grilled chicken with the same black coffee, placed his phone face up on the table beside his plate, and ate alone. He had been doing this for 3 years. The restaurant staff knew his order before he sat down. They knew he did not want conversation. They knew he would leave a good tip and be gone in 25 minutes. And for 3 years, everything went exactly according to this routine. Until the Tuesday that everything changed. His usual waiter was sick that day, and in his place came an older man named George. George was in his late 60s, with a slow, careful walk and warm eyes that had clearly seen a great many things in a great many years. He brought Omar's food without a word, set it down carefully, poured his coffee, and then stood for just a moment longer than any waiter had ever stood at Omar's table. Omar did not look up from his phone. George looked at the untouched food, at the man staring at his screen, at the food going cold beside the hand that kept scrolling. And then very quietly, very gently, George said something that no one had ever said to Omar before. "Sir, I have been watching you eat here for 3 years, and I have never once seen you taste your food." Omar looked up. For the first time in 3 years, he actually looked up at someone in this restaurant. George was not smiling. He was not being rude. He was simply stating a fact with the calm certainty of someone who had been watching carefully for a very long time. Omar looked down at his plate. The food was already cold. He could not remember what it tasted like. He could not remember what it looked like when it arrived. He had been eating it while looking at something else for 3 years. He looked around the restaurant for the first time. There was a young couple at the window table, laughing at something on a shared phone, leaning toward each other. There was an old woman eating soup alone, but looking out the window at the street with a small, satisfied smile. There was a group of young workers sharing a plate of bread and talking loudly and laughing. The restaurant was full of life, 3 years of life, right beside him. And he had never once seen any of it. He had been there every single day, and he had never once been there. He looked back at George. George had not moved. Omar said quietly, "Sit down." George raised an eyebrow. "Sir, I am working." "I know," Omar said. "Sit down anyway, please." George sat. And Omar asked him the question he had never asked anyone in a very long time. "What do you see when you look at this room?" George looked around slowly. Then he said, "I see people eating. But more than that, I see people choosing. That couple by the window chose to put their phones down for 1 hour. That old woman chose to notice the street. Those young people chose to share something small and make it feel like a feast. Every single person in this room is making a choice about how present they want to be in their own life. Every meal is a choice. Every hour is a choice. The food is just the reason we sit down. Omar sat with that for a long time. Then he picked up his phone and placed it face down on the table. He looked at his food. He took one bite. He chewed slowly. He tasted it for the first time. And he sat in that restaurant for not 25 minutes, but 1 full hour. He watched the couple by the window. He smiled at the old woman who smiled back. He listened to the young workers laugh. And when he finally left, he stood up and looked at George and said simply, "Thank you." George nodded. "Same time tomorrow, sir?" Omar smiled. "Same time tomorrow, but different table. I want to see the window." So, my dear friends, Omar teaches us the most quietly urgent lesson. Success without presence is just a very expensive kind of absence. You can be in the room every single day and completely miss the room. You can share a meal and never taste it. You can spend years in a life and never actually live it. The phone will always have something on it. The work will always have something urgent. The notifications will never stop arriving. But the food goes cold. The people at the window leave. The old woman finishes her soup and goes home. And the life that was happening right beside you moves on without you. Put the phone down. Taste your food. Look at the people around you. The life you are rushing through is the life. And it is happening right now, whether you are watching it or not.